And I began to notice another thing which is very key in these debates, which is I noticed that actually liberalism and democracy are at odds in many of these cases. And yet many of the sort of defend democracy types, Trumpism was also just beginning to sort of royal America around the same time. I was watching it from abroad, from across an ocean, but people would say we have to defend democracy. But what they often meant was we have to defend liberalism against the popular will. So I went to a house of a very, very prominent American journalist who I'll say
you will not name because it was a private conversation.
It was Chatham House rules, and I'll still uphold.
Oh, okay, great.
But it was a group of they had brought about a group of Polish intellectuals and liberals. It was like 3 months after PIS had come to power, the Law and Justice Party. The Poles were saying, the European Union should sanction Poland for this vote, and I was the only one. I was like, wait, what? You guys are saying you defend democracy. You're going to punish people for more or less for picking the wrong government. And so you see that I began to notice for liberals, when they often talk about defending democracy, this is the whole apparatus of like Freedom House, National Endowment for Democracy. It's still, some of them are my friends. I respect them, but they really mean certain liberal outcomes. And if the ballot
for me, that was Brexit, because there was a campaign. It was lively and loud. It had lots of competing claims, some of which were false, some of which were true, but it ended with a Democratic majority in favor of leaving. And the very people who claimed they were defending democracy said, no, we can't do that. These people are stupid. They've been conned. They've been fooled. And I, too, even though I was a Remainer, in as much as I would have voted to stay in the EU for all sorts of reasons, even though I have no right to have a say in it because I've been abroad for so long. But I could see the contempt that so many of my peers in the elite had towards the people who had voted for this. And honestly, I was kind of shocked. Because even though I regretted it, that it was a bad idea, I felt my job as a thinker who was surprised by this, a little surprised, not entirely. I need to figure out what I got wrong. Where was this coming from? And I also discovered, not to bond with you too much, but I also discovered that they didn't really like nationhood. They didn't really like the idea that being British, for example, meant something more than just the sum of your economic output. That it was part of a tradition. It was part of a people, part of a history. An island history, which would always make it a little difficult to integrate into a European structure, at least since the 16th century that had been the case. And you're right, I found, although I was horrified by Trump, and still am horrified by Trump, there was something about the absolute certainty that the people who voted for him were a bunch of ignorant idiots and bigots that made me more sympathetic to the Trump forces, to be honest with you. I had a slight reckoning with my own generation.